Put your thumbs right here like this.
Okay.
Alright? Now you're stuck. You can't move.
Prove it.
Prove it. You fucking yeeted the cop!
Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Tyler, and today we're going to be doing a brand new what if, and this what if is a one-shot scenario where I figured, I might as well give Team Hebi some love here, because Team Hebi usually is getting kind of shafted in the main series, so why not have a what if based on them turning good? And so with that being said, let's cut this intro short and get straight into the video. Hope you guys enjoy.
Hey, collecting rings like a Sonic. Bitches wanna party. My wrist getting heavy, so got 'em on a diet, yeah. Flex like I'm Hogan. Yo, bitch coming over.
We start our story around the 5 Kage summit where Team Hebi is seeing Sasuke fall down a darker path. We'll say when Sasuke leaves the summit with Karin and abandons Suigetsu and Jugo, these two would see this and feel betrayed because they came alongside Sasuke to face off against the literal Kage. Not to mention even prior helping him on his journey to go and face off against Itachi and even fighting a Biju which they literally almost died against. Jugo is someone who is committed to protecting Sasuke while Suigetsu sees him as a comrade and a homie. They are just kinda hurt how they fight with Sasuke to the very end, but Sasuke won't do the same for them and just abandon them. This makes them feel used and betrayed, and we'll say that they managed to fully escape the summit after Sasuke faces Danzo. We'll say they just get enough willpower to actually make it out there alive, with Suigetsu barely having left of what's of the Executioner's blade, and Jugo being very fatigued. They would strip off their Akatsuki robe and go off to their natural ways, which is essentially the Hebi team rather than Taka. And so with this, we actually have Team Hebi being established, and they're going out to go and save Karin, which we will say here that Karin's a little scared of Sasuke, and she feels the same way that Jugo and Suigetsu feel once Sasuke stabs her and Danzo. Around this point, Sakura would then make her way to Sasuke, and Sakura would try and attempt to kill Sasuke, but this time, instead of Sasuke catching Sakura lacking and almost killing her and Kakashi saving her, this time it's Suigetsu and Jugo who come in and say that they came to stop Sasuke since he isn't the same anymore and they don't want the feeling of being used, and Sasuke is going to go down. Sasuke warns them once to stay out of his way, but they both assure to him that they aren't moving. Jugo and Suigetsu even solidify that they are here to kill Sasuke once Suigetsu pulls out his destroyed Executioner's blade, and he says once they kill him, his blade will be back into its prime while Jugo transforms into his curse mark state. Sasuke acknowledges this and he prepares to fight the two without trying to resort to his MS, which leads into an interesting battle between Sasuke and his two former teammates, since one, he is more weakened than Suigetsu and Jugo, and you could argue Suigetsu and Jugo are stronger due to them getting a rage amp after what Sasuke did to them. If you don't want to call it a rage amp, it'll probably be like a resolve or willpower amp, whatever you want to call it. Rage/resolve doesn't really matter, but regardless, they are getting some type of increase in their physical stats because of their resolve. And with that being said, this will lead into an interesting battle between the two, like I said, with Jugo using his curse mark while Suigetsu spams his water jutsu. Here, Jugo would be more so on the offensive than Suigetsu, since, Jugo is a much more physical attacker, and Suigetsu is more so kind of that ranged type because his best jutsu are ranged, and since his sword doesn't work, he can't really fight in close quarters right now. However, Suigetsu would be spamming his water jutsu, or the Hozeki technique, whatever you want to call it, to the point to where Sasuke would be having to evade or block those attacks, which would leave openings for Jugo to strike, which one blow from Jugo could prove detrimental to this version of Sasuke, because remember, he's on the brink of death. Kakashi would have been arrived, however, he's just watching the battle unfold, and he'll make sure that Sakura is alright, and this would lead into Suigetsu and Jugo kind of pushing Sasuke to the point of using his MS, and he slaps them away with the Susanoo arm, which they both barely managed to survive. And when he rips out his Susanoo arrow at the two, which seemingly will kill them, Kakashi comes in the nick of time and uses Kamui himself to react to Sasuke and actually use Kamui to get rid of the arrow. Sasuke here would be very fatigued, and he would barely be able to keep up with Kakashi and actually be able to block his attacks, and Suigetsu and Jugo would manage to get up after recovering from the Susanoo arm, and the three of them are about to literally jump Sasuke, but luckily in the nick of time Naruto then arrives, and Naruto would then take it all from there. Naruto literally says that he is the only one that can try and defeat Sasuke and bring him back to the light, and so he tells everyone to stay back, which Kakashi would make sure Suigetsu and Jugo don't try to intercept, and Naruto would then face off against Sasuke similar to in canon, and he would then come to the conclusion that he can't beat him with Sage Mode. If he's going to beat Sasuke, he needs to use his own power, which is going to be the Nine Tails Jinchuriki. And this would then lead into Obito then saying farewell to, Sasuke's former teammates, and Sasuke saying farewell. And Sasuke would obviously say, stay out of my way, which Team Hebi won't be doing. And Sasuke and Obito then dip out with Karin, Suigetsu, and Jugo being the last one standing. Now, those three are immediately taken into prison, with Suigetsu and Jugo probably trying to maybe fight Kakashi, try and resist, but Kakashi could just use lightning to neg Suigetsu, and Jugo's already weakened enough. Now here, the interrogation team would be trying to extract information from the three of them, but this then leads into Naruto and Kakashi intercepting and actually asking them themselves and telling the interrogation team to kind of leave it to them. Naruto and Kakashi have questions that need to be answered, and if they don't want to cooperate, then the interrogation team can intervene anytime. But for now, Naruto just kind of wants to talk to them one-on-one, and Kakashi would just support Naruto's decision. Naruto first asks what's their deal with Sasuke, because they were at first teammates, but now they're just wanting to kill him or whatever. It's kind of weird. And mainly it's Suigetsu and Jugo who are the ones that want to kill him, which they would answer, and Karin's more so contentious with this thought, because she knows that Sasuke betrayed him, but at the same time she knows maybe Sasuke can be redeemed. And this would then lead into Karin actually saying that, and Naruto would actually say that Karin is indeed right on the second thought. Because Naruto Uzumaki will be the one to bring Sasuke back to the good side, which Suigetsu and Jugo kind of question Naruto, how is he going to do that when he literally betrayed his own teammates that were helping him commit crimes. Naruto would say that he is the only one that could even possibly bring him back to the good, and they're just going to have to trust him, which Suigetsu and Jugo aren't really going to be trusting, and they promise once they get out of here, they're going to be gunning eyes for Sasuke, and it's on sight. Naruto would then say how that's fine, but in the end, Sasuke is definitely going to be brought back to the light, and Naruto is going to beat them to it. And besides, they can't even escape prison due to all the guards that's going to be guarding them. And Karin kind of sees the look of determination within Naruto's eyes, and she would then say to herself, and eventually her team, that Naruto is definitely going to be the one that is going to be bringing Sasuke back to the good side. He's the only one left. He's their only hope. And this would then lead into Karin then telling her teammates once, Naruto and Kakashi leave and the interrogation team eventually gets done with extracting information, which doesn't really work too much, but Karin would say to her teammates that they should leave it to Naruto, which Suigetsu and Jugo at first obviously aren't going to be agreeing with. Now, with this would eventually lead into Team Hebi just kind of sitting in prison and them waiting for the Great Ninja War to start up, which I don't think they would be released from prison due to the war starting up, but this is where they could actually make a chance to escape, because all the ninja in Konoha are focusing out on, fighting White Zetsu and Reanimated Ninja, and assisting other ninja that need help. With Team Hebi's inevitable escape, this would lead into them kind of helping out and actually participating in the war. I think the reason why is because, it's not because they want to work with the other nations, but it's because, again, their goals, and that is to kill Sasuke. Karin, while traveling with them, would be trying to help Suigetsu and Jugo and actually telling them that this isn't the way to do it, and eventually this would lead into Suigetsu kind of leading the group into a blind location because Suigetsu's just so fed up and rage. And this would lead into him leading Team Hebi into a completely different direction than where they're supposed to go. And this would lead into them encountering Team Kakashi facing off against the 7 ninja swordsmen. So they just got right in the middle of a battle in the war. When upon looking at the 7 ninja swordsmen, we see Suigetsu looking at someone who looks all too familiar to him, his brother, Mengetsu Hozuki. Mengetsu would then speak to Suigetsu, but obviously he can't control his actions due to the Edo Tensei, and he would be rushing at full power at him and telling Suigetsu to snap out of it and make sure to fight him. At that point, Suigetsu's just kind of standing there in a daze. However, Jugo and Karin managed to actually snap him out of it and save Suigetsu from Mengetsu's attack. Then lead into Suigetsu still being a little hesitant but dodging Mengetsu's attacks. At least he's not so much in a daze to the point to where he's actually, not able to dodge and just standing there. And this would then lead into Mengetsu getting his attacks weaved by Suigetsu, and Mengetsu would then say that he needs to do the job and actually finish him off. Mengetsu can't die again, so Suigetsu is just going to be wasting all of his energy, and eventually he'll succumb to Mengetsu, which isn't what Mengetsu wants. Mengetsu needs Suigetsu to keep on going and help out finish this war, and this would then lead into Suigetsu then snapping out of it and actually facing off against his brother. Now, necessarily, I don't think too many people really pay attention to Mengetsu scaling, unless, you guys want to educate me, that's fine, but for now, I don't really know Mengetsu scaling, so I'm just going to be saying for what the narrative would call for, and I'm going to say that Mengetsu is kind of relative to Suigetsu. Suigetsu would still be hesitant and kind of holding back a little bit of power, but Mengetsu could easily catch on to this, and Mengetsu would tell him to snap out of it. And this would then lead into Karin and Jugo snapping him out of it as well by telling him to push, and this would then lead into Suigetsu, then blitzing Mengetsu, and tapping him with the Hozuki technique. Karin and Jugo, the only people that were really on his side or by his side all along, would be able to hold down Mengetsu, and the team would then come in to seal him, and Mengetsu's last words are, "Well done, brother. I knew you could do it." I think here Suigetsu would actually break down and actually cry a little bit. However, Karin, in character would make jokes to Suigetsu about this, but she realizes that he's kind of going through it, and she decides to support him rather than just make fun of him, and so does Jugo. Suigetsu stops crying, and he would then say, "Alright, it's time to get this show on the road," as he then, along with the rest of Team Hebi, assists Kakashi in fighting off against Haku and Zabuza. With the combination of Team Hebi and Team Kakashi, I think they would easily be able to kill the 7 ninja swordsmen much quicker, leading into Kakashi and Guy kind of going off into their other location, and Team Hebi then thanking Kakashi for the help, and Kakashi would do the same, and they would then depart from each other. At this point, Team Hebi would then make their way into a different direction, and hopefully they arrive at Sasuke's location, and Suigetsu here is even more determined, and they would eventually lead up into, again, another wrong location. This time they are with Gaara and Inoki, the 3rd Tsuchikage and the 5th Kazekage, facing off against the reanimated Kage. Here, I could see Suigetsu actually facing off against Gengetsu, with the rest of Hebi trying to help him out, but Gengetsu is just too powerful for them, and this would eventually lead into, after Gaara defeating Rasa and Inoki being able to get Mu off of him, assisting Team Hebi in defeating Gengetsu. And I think mid-battle, when Jugo is kind of going insane with his curse mark, I could see him trying to gun for the Raikage, because again, him and the Raikage have had, or not the 3rd Raikage, but the 4th Raikage, have had a past beatdown before. And just like when the Raikage faced off against Jugo, Jugo would be completely murked by the 3rd Raikage, and eventually would have to be saved by KCM Naruto, and Gaara and Inoki. And this would then lead into Naruto beating the Raikage, and Madara then showing up eventually and throwing down 2 meteors. When the 2 meteors are summoned and Team Hebi believes this is going to be it for them, Karin would then snap. She's been fighting for way too long, all her life in general, and specifically here, to just die now against Madara when they haven't even met Sasuke yet. This is not how they're going to go out, and she would then finally go berserk and let out the chains. She would rush at Madara, with one of the chains even off-guarding Madara and actually grabbing him by the foot, pulling him towards Karin, and then Karin just straight up bullying him like wombo combo. However, after the wombo combo and even multiple stabs from the chains, this would then lead into Madara getting back up, with the Susanoo actually showing and revealing that it was protecting him, and she would then be slapped away by a Susanoo arm. Jugo even tries to get a few licks in with Madara, but he gets bodied, and Suigetsu kind of knows better, so Suigetsu just goes out to help his teammates, and Suigetsu already got his moment anyway. After the 2 meteors then hit everyone, Team Hebi would be revealed to be alive, and then lead into, again, the 5 Kage eventually arriving, and Team Hebi kind of having nothing to really do in the battle, so they would just go off on their own direction, and they would encounter Obito and the 6 Biju facing off against Naruto, Kakashi, and Guy, and Killer Bee. Interactions between Naruto and Killer Bee and the rest of Hebi would be pretty awkward, because Naruto believed they were in jail, and Killer Bee's last encounter with him was, him barely getting out of there alive. But they would put their differences aside, and Hebi would make it clear, with Kakashi and Guy even vouching, that they are here to participate in the war. However, they haven't given up on their Sasuke goal. Naruto would then say how that's fine, and we see Killer Bee and Jugo kind of fighting side by side with each other, big brute chads out here facing off against Biju, while Suigetsu and Karin back up Guy and Kakashi, and Naruto would eventually be eaten by the Four Tails, awaken KCM2, slap the 6 Biju, and eventually reveal Obito's identity. This, I could see Sasuke still reviving the 4 Kage because Team Hebi didn't really come up with that idea to get Orochimaru back. It was kind of Sasuke, and this would then lead into Sasuke, the 4 Kage, and Orochimaru arriving to the battlefield, while Orochimaru would be with Hiruzen fighting the Guru statue, which he would be able to take care of with Hiruzen, which covers what would happen without Team Hebi there, and this would then lead into Team Hebi interacting with Sasuke. However, they know that the circumstances here are kind of huge, and they decide to just put their past away and decide to work with Sasuke for one last time. And plus, Sasuke has new goals. He wants to become the Hokage or whatever, which everyone just believes is kind of cap, and this would then lead into Team Hebi backing up Sasuke while Sakura and Naruto work alongside them, and eventually the arc kind of plays out the same, but Team Hebi would be there facing off against Jubidara alongside Might Guy, Minato, Gaara, and Kakashi. Hebi would still be caught up in the Infinite Tsukuyomi, and this then leads into our story, which kind of ends similar to in canon, you know, Madara versus Team 7, along with Kaguya versus Team 7, and then Naruto versus Sasuke finally. And I could see Team Hebi, especially Suigetsu, thanking Naruto for what he did and kind of proving him wrong, and Jugo and Karin would obviously, you know, thank Naruto as well, and Karin as well, because Karin is the one who actually believed in Naruto first. Now, Team Hebi's fate could either end up like in canon and they would be in one Boruto arc and then get shafted, or it would actually be consistent with the what if here, which is, you know, them turning good, and by having them actually join the Leaf military for their hard efforts and actually helping them out during the war, which would allow them a spot in the Konoha military, which they would be down for because they really have nothing else to do, and I think it would wrap up the whole what if as a whole, because, you know, it is called What If Hebi Turned Good. And whenever Sasuke needs help, they would be down to help him, because Sasuke is changed thanks to Naruto. And that is where we're going to be leaving our what if for now. If you guys did like it, if you guys did enjoy it, be sure to hit that subscribe and notification bell if you are new. That way you're notified and updated every time I upload. Be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed. Share with your grandpa, share with your mima, share with your friends, share with everyone. And be sure to go follow me on Twitter and join the Discord. Thanks for watching. Peace out, guys.